Gather round the fire, friends, beneath a sky painted with the hues of hope. Welcome back to Tales of the Untamed West, where the wild spirit of the frontier merges with the sacred stories of the Diné. Tonight, we journey to the hallowed grounds of Window Rock, a land of red cliffs and open valleys, where a young Navajo man faced a trial that would inspire a nation. This is a tale of hope, resilience, and the power of unity. A Navajo folk tale woven with the untamed threads of the West. Meet Ka'ayali, a horseman with a vision, and follow his quest to heed an eagle's cry. If you've treasured the song of the wandering crow, the ghost of Black Mesa, the spirit of Red Canyon, the coyote's riddle, the raven's flight, the serpent's whisper, and the bear's promise, this story will lift your spirit. Hit that subscribe button and let's soar to the heights of Window Rock. Keep the fire burning and let's begin. In the year 1900, the sacred lands of Window Rock stood as a spiritual heart for the Diné, a place where red cliffs rose like ancient sentinels, their surfaces etched with petroglyphs, eagles, spirals, and stars that whispered of the Navajo's enduring bond with the sky. The valley stretched wide below, its golden sands shimmering under a relentless sun, the air carrying the scent of sage and dust, a testament to the land's resilience. At the cliff's base, a small village nestled among cottonwoods, its hogans, blending into the earth, their rounded roofs adorned with subtle geometric patterns of zigzags and diamonds. Here lived Ka'ayali, a man of 24 summers, with hands hardened from tending horses and eyes that read the signs of the wind and stars. The village was a haven of tradition, its people bound by the songs and stories of their ancestors. Women ground corn with stone metates, their chants rising like prayers, while men guided horses across the valley, their laughter a steady rhythm. Children played among the cottonwoods, their voices a fragile echo in a land shadowed by despair. Kabayili's family lived in a hogan near the pasture, where his father, Hojuni, carved saddles from leather, his hands steady despite the lines of worry on his face. His mother, Shieye, tended a small herb garden, her songs, a balm for the soul. Ka'ayali's older sister, Auche, a healer known for her knowledge of plants, sat by the fire, mixing remedies, her silence a shield against the growing threat. Each evening, the village gathered around a communal fire, the elders sharing tales under a sky ablaze with stars. Ka'ayali's grandfather, Hoju Oi, was the keeper of stories. His silver, hair glowing in the firelight, his voice a river of wisdom. He spoke of the holy people, of spirits that guarded the land, and of Eagle Spirit, the bearer of hope, whose golden wings lifted the Diné's spirits in times of darkness. Eagle sees the future, Hoju Oi would say, but its cry demands unity, lose your way, and its hope fades. Ka'ayali listened, his hands grooming a horse, his mother's blanket, a tapestry of eagles and stars, draped over his shoulder, a reminder of the stories that shaped their lives. For weeks, a shadow. had fallen over the village. A plague, born of the changing winds, swept through the land, its fever a fire that consumed the Diné. The sick lay in hogans, their breaths shallow, their eyes dim, while the healthy tended them with trembling hands. The elders chanted prayers to the holy people, their voices rising against the wind. But the plague grew, its toll a weight on the village's heart. Hozuni sat by the fire each night, his saddle unfinished, his face etched with despair. Shiee rationed herbs, her songs fading, while Auche worked tirelessly, her remedies a fragile hope against the disease. One evening, as the village shared a meager meal of corn mush, Kiaeli sat apart, his gaze fixed on the cliffs, their red faces a silent witness to the plague's rage. Auche joined him, her hands stained with sage, her voice soft. "The land mourns, brother," she said, her eyes fierce. "We must find a way." Kaili nodded, his heart heavy, but as the fire died to embers, a piercing cry broke the silence. A golden eagle's call, sharp and resonant, echoing from the cliffs. Kaili felt a chill, the spirit stirring, and he knew the night held a hope he could not ignore. The eagle's cry lingered in Kiaeli's mind, a beacon that pulled him from sleep. At dawn, he stood at the base of Window Rock, the cliff's red walls glowing in the morning light, the petroglyphs of eagles shimmering faintly through the haze. The village below was quiet, the air heavy with the scent of dust and sage, the sick coughing in their hogans. Kiaeli closed his eyes, whispering a prayer to the holy people, his hands clutching his mother's blanket, seeking the eagle's guidance. The wind answered, carrying a faint cry, and when Kiaeli opened his eyes, a golden eagle soared above, its amber eyes fixed on him, its wings a golden arc against the sky. This was no ordinary bird. This was Eagle's spirit, its presence a promise of hope. "I know your pain, Kiaeli," Eagle's spirit called, its voice a soaring melody that danced with the wind. "The plague consumes your people because hope has faded. Find my sacred feather, stolen by outsiders, and I'll restore your strength. Fail, and the Diné will perish." Kiaeli's heart raced, Hozhoo's words echoing in his mind, but he saw the sick, the faces of his family, and knew he had to act. "I'll find your feather," he said, his voice steady, the blanket a comfort in his hands. Eagle Spirit's eyes gleamed, its cry a blessing, and it soared into the valley, leaving Kiaeli with a path to follow. He returned to the village, his heart set on the quest. He found Hozhoo in his hogan, carving a flute from cedar, his grandfather's eyes sharp with knowing. "Eagle spoke to me," Kiaeli said, his voice trembling with purpose. "The plague comes because its feather was stolen by farmers. I must find it." Hozhoo's hands paused, his gaze distant. "The feather is sacred," he said, "a symbol of Eagle's vision, taken by those who break the land. The path is perilous, Kiaeli. Take my blessing." He handed Ka'ayili a pouch of eagle down, a sacred offering for protection, and a woven cord with feather patterns. "Wear this," Hojuoi said, tying it around Ka'ayili's wrist. "It will guide you home." Ka'ayili sought out Auche, who was tending the sick with Shie, her hands stained with herbs, her eyes weary but resolute. "I'm coming with you," Auche said, her voice firm, her healing pouch at her side. Ka'ayili nodded, his sister's strength a pillar he could lean on. Hojuni placed a hand on his shoulder, his carved saddle a melody in his grip. "Bring hope, son," he said, his eyes shining with pride. Shiyeye pressed a small clay horse into Ka'ayili's hand, her voice a whisper. "Return to us," she said, her tears falling. As they prepared to leave, a figure approached through the dust. Tom, a Wild West farmer with a weathered face, his hoe slung over his shoulder, his hands scarred from plowing Navajo land. Tom had sought forgiveness, his heart heavy with regret for destroying their fields. "I've wronged your people," he said, his voice rough. "Let me help you find that feather." Ka'ayili felt the spirit's approval in Eagle's distant cry, a fragile alliance born of redemption. The trio set out under a golden sun. Eagle spirits promise a guide in Ka'ayili's heart, the cliffs a silent guardian. Ka'ayili led the way, his blanket fluttering in the wind, Auchi at his side, her pouch a shield of healing, and Tom behind, his hoe a symbol of his past. The valley stretched before them, a maze of dunes and trampled fields, the horizon, hiding the sacred feather, a treasure that would test Ka'ayili's hope and restore his people's resilience. The valley's golden sands shimmered under the midday sun as Ka'ayili, Auche, and Tom trekked toward the heart of Window Rock, where Eagle Spirit's cry had led them. The cliffs loomed like ancient guardians, their red faces etched with petroglyphs, eagles soaring, their wings a symbol of hope. The air was heavy with the scent of dust and wilted sage, the sick village a distant echo, the plague's toll a weight on Ka'ayili's heart. Eagle's cry hummed in his mind, its promise a steady rhythm, but the valley held shadows, trampled fields, broken fences, and the distant murmur of farmers' voices. They reached a narrow ravine, the cliffs rising like walls, their petroglyphs glowing faintly. Eagles perched on stars, a map to the feather's resting place. Auche's healing pouch rustled with herbs, her eyes sharp with concern, while Tom scanned the horizon, his hoe a shield, his scarred hands a reminder of his past. "The feather's close," Ka'ayili said, his voice soft, the cord at his wrist glowing faintly. But as they entered the ravine, a shout broke the silence. A group of Wild West farmers, led by a man named Harlan, emerged from the fields, their rifles gleaming, their faces hardened by greed. "That feather's ours!" Harlan snarled, his rifle aimed at Ka'ayili, his men fanning out, their plows abandoned in the dirt. "You Navajo don't belong here!" Ka'ayili's heart pounded, Eagle's cry a warning in his mind. But he stood firm, his blanket a shield. "This feather belongs to the Diné," he said, his voice ringing through the ravine. "It will heal our people." Harlan laughed, his greed a fire that burned through reason, and his men advanced, their rifles flashing in the sun. The ravine erupted in chaos, bullets ricocheting off the cliffs, the petroglyphs trembling as if the spirits fought back. Ka'ayili fought with a staff he'd carved, his hands a blur, while Auche scattered herbs, her chant a shield of light, calling on the holy people for protection. Tom swung his hoe, his aim a redemption for his past, but the farmers were relentless, their numbers a tide that threatened to overwhelm. Ka'ili darted toward a hidden crevice, the petroglyphs guiding him, and found a small cave, its entrance, guarded by a nest of eagle feathers, one golden feather pulsing with light, the sacred feather of eagle spirit. As Ka'ili reached for the feather, Harlan grabbed his arm, his rifle pressed to Ka'ili's chest. "You'll die for this," Harlan growled, his finger on the trigger. Auchi's cry pierced the chaos, her herbs flaring with smoke, blinding the farmers while Tom tackled Harlan, his hoe a shield. Ka'ili seized the feather, its warmth of fire in his hand, and the ravine trembled, the cliffs groaning as if the earth itself rose to defend him. The farmers fled, their shouts swallowed by the wind, the feathers light a beacon. But the journey was far from over, the plague, still a shadow on the horizon. The feather's warmth pulsed in Ka'ayili's hand as he, Auche, and Tom emerged from the ravine, the cliff's red faces glowing under the afternoon sun, the petroglyphs of eagles a silent guide. The valley stretched before them, its trampled fields a scar on the land, the village's coughs a distant cry, the plague's toll a weight on Ka'ili's heart. Eagle Spirit's cry echoed in his mind, its promise a steady rhythm, but doubt gnawed at him. The farmer's greed, the sickness, the fear of failure. Auche's hand brushed his, her healer's voice a whisper. "We're stronger together," she said, her eyes fierce with hope. They returned to the village, the feather a beacon in Ka'ayili's grip, the air thick with the scent of dust and herbs. The elders gathered at a sacred clearing near Window Rock, where petroglyphs of eagles glowed on the cliffs, their wings a symbol of resilience, the ground carved with spirals that pulsed with light. Ka'ayili stood at the center, the feather, raised and chanted a prayer to the holy people, a song of hope, of unity, of the Diné's bond with the sky. Auche joined him, her herbs a circle of protection, while Tom stood guard, his hoe a shield, his scarred hands a testament to his loyalty. But whispers of doubt rose among the villagers, their faces weary from the plague, their voices a murmur of fear. "The feather won't save us," an elder muttered, his cough a shadow. "The land is cursed." Ka'ili's heart clenched, the feather's warmth a fire, but he felt the weight of their despair, the fear that mirrored his own. Auche's hand found his, her chant a melody of strength. "Believe in the eagle," she said, her voice steady. Tom nodded, his farmer's resolve alight. "We've come this far," he said, his voice rough. "Trust in it." Ka'ayili raised the feather higher, its golden light flaring, and chanted with all his soul, a song of resilience that rose above the doubt. The ground trembled, the cliffs echoing with eagle spirit's cry, and a golden eagle appeared, its wings vast, its amber eyes a blaze of hope. The villagers gasped, their murmurs fading, their eyes wide with awe, and Kaayili felt the spirit's presence, the feather's power, a bridge to renewal. But the ritual was incomplete, the plague still a shadow, and the eagle's cry demanded more, a test of his heart, a leap of faith into the unknown. The golden eagle's cry filled the clearing, its wings a golden arc against the setting sun, its amber eyes a beacon of hope as the villagers watched in silence. Kaayili held the sacred feather aloft, its light pulsing with the rhythm of the Diné's heartbeat, the air thick with the scent of sage and dust, a promise of renewal in the fading light. The plague's coughs lingered, the sick still weak. But the eagle's presence stirred a spark in the village, a flicker of faith that Kaayili clung to. Auche's chant grew stronger, her herbs a circle of healing, while Tom stood guard, his hoe a shield, his scarred hands a bond with the Diné. The eagle circled, its cry a melody that shook the cliffs, and Kaayili felt the spirit's demand, a final act of resilience, a surrender to hope. He knelt, placing the feather on the ground, its light flaring, and offered his voice, a song of unity that rose with Auche's chant, a harmony that called eagle spirit to the earth. The villagers joined, their voices a chorus of strength, their fear melting into faith, the petroglyphs of eagles glowing brighter, the ground trembling with the spirit's power. The eagle descended, its wings brushing the feather, its amber, eyes meeting Kaayili's, and a wave of light swept through the village. A golden tide that cleansed the air, healed the sick, and restored the land. The coughs ceased, the weak rose, and the fields greened, their corn sprouting anew, a miracle born of hope. The villagers cheered, their dances a celebration under the stars, the children laughing among the cottonwoods, their voices a song of life. Hojuni ran to Kaayili, his saddle a gift as he pulled his son into a fierce hug. "You've brought us back," he said, his tears falling, his voice thick with pride. Shie wove him a new blanket, its threads patterned with eagles and valleys, draping it over his shoulders. "For your hope," she said, her eyes shining. Auche embraced him, her herbs a promise of health, while Tom stood apart, his hoe laid aside, his redemption a bond with the Diné. The village held a ceremony, the fire blazing high, its flames dancing under the stars, the drums beating a rhythm of renewal. Kaayili stood with his people, the cliffs a silent guardian, their petroglyphs, a testament to their survival. He felt the spirit's whispers, eagle spirits cry a soft echo, and knew the Diné would thrive, their resilience a light in the wilderness, their hope a legacy for generations to come. Years later, Kylie stood at the base of Window Rock, his children at his side, their eyes wide with wonder. He held the sacred feather, its golden strands worn but pulsing with memory, and told them the story of Eagle's cry, of hope, resilience, and the unity that saved their people. "The sky guides us," he said, pointing to the cliffs, "and we must rise with it." Auche joined them, a healer revered, her herbs a light for the Dene, and Tom, a friend of the village, stood nearby, his stories of Window Rock now legend in the West. On quiet days, Kiayili would hear Eagle's cry, not of warning, but of peace, and look up to see a golden eagle soaring over Window Rock, its wings catching the sunlight, a guardian of the Dene. And that, friends, is the eagle's cry. I hope Kaayili's journey lit a spark in your heart. If it did, leave a comment. What gives you hope in dark times? Subscribe to Tales of the Untamed West for more Navajo folk tales and Wild West legends, and explore our Untamed Tales playlist. Until next time, keep the fire burning, and may the spirits guide your path.